Rob, thank you for spending the time. Like I said, this will either be an interesting conversation or a therapy session or just me complaining that the universe is not fit to not shaped to fit me exactly,
Right.
which frankly is greatly unfair, and I have comments for God. I just
There are times when I've definitely felt like I have notes.
Yes, I have notes. I have called the help desk and I have been put on hold, and I am not happy. I want to talk to the manager.
Right. Right.
um, but this is sort of related to the novel AI stuff we talked about a little
Right.
while ago because I've been using it. And I used it for a couple of months, and it is really helpful to write. And so I wrote like 7 chapters
Mm-hmm.
of a book using it.
Wow.
And then I got to the editing stage, and I edited for a couple of days. And now I have gone in and I have deleted my Novel AI account.
Really?
Um,
Why?
because here's the thing: it is a good tool to streamline writing, but when I went through and started editing, I felt like I wasn't editing my work.
Yeah.
I was editing someone else's writing. And they were an okay writer.
Mm-hmm.
They were a decent writer. I was reading through here and I'm like, okay, this is a decent writer, but this isn't me.
Mm.
This is not my voice coming through. This is someone else's voice. I mean, technically, it's the bland voice of the internet.
Right.
It is the collective unconscious of everyone online speaking through the novel, and it doesn't have my rough edges. And the question of whether it is better or worse did not matter to me,
Right.
because it wasn't me and it wasn't fun, and it really came down to that. I was like, this is not enjoyable at
Right.
all. This is something that I could be paid to do.
Mm-hmm.
I could very easily be paid to work with Novel AI, spit out something, edit it, and say, "Here's your Star Trek script." Um,
Can I tell you how I've
yeah.
been using Chat GPT lately?
How?
I've been using it maybe probably 2 or 3 times a week. Part of my day job involves sending out email blasts and stupid little stuff like that. And whenever I write something, like I would always have this huge amount of stupid anxiety. Not even like normal okay, but like stupid anxiety because I would have like 3 sentences to share what I need, and I know that that's not enough. And so I put my 3 or 4 sentences into Chat GPT, and it comes up with a very corporate tone email, which is
Yeah.
exactly what I need from it. I
Oh
need it
yeah.
to be bland advertising speak, which I am just not equipped to do.
No, I mean, it is wonderful at writing bland, inoffensive pablum.
Yes.
It is, and I mean, even but even I was writing sci-fi story, and it's very good at writing a sci-fi story that has descriptions and
Mm-hmm.
and 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 knows all the beats, but it's not from it. It could not be construed as copying anyone.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Yeah.
like, okay, this is just, here are the pieces of a sci-fi story, and it's there's a new program. I don't know if you've seen the Pseudo-Write.
No.
Okay, so Pseudo-Write is this on steroids. It you give it an idea and it generates an outline, and then it can go in and generate the basics of a chapter for
Oh
you.
wow.
and so and I gave it a shot, and I'm like, I can make a very ordinary story with this.
Mm-hmm.
That is, if I want a urban fantasy, about a young girl who's not like any other girls, and meets fantastic creatures. Easy. It will spit it out, and it will write stuff. It still has the AI problem of being slightly hallucinogenic at points. It's like, and this is something I noticed with both the novel AI and pseudo right. At some points, it will just start adding stuff in,
Mm-hmm.
and it will just say, and then the elephants came, and I'm like, what? What? And I'm like, well, I just felt like elephants right now. It's like, no, this is a sci-fi on a spaceship. There's no elephants. It doesn't
Right.
make any sense. Where would they fit them? They couldn't feed them. No, too many questions. We're nixing the elephants. I don't care how much you want it. We're taking that out. It can write a decent story, and you can then go in and sort of refine it and
Mm-hmm.
fix sort of the thing about it. But the thing it doesn't have, and this, it really doesn't have a soul.
Right.
It really doesn't, and it wasn't until I got to the editing stage that I realized that.
Yeah.
And so I've also been playing with AI image generation,
Mm-hmm.
and I really get why artists hate this thing. I get it, because you can make amazing looking things,
Mm-hmm.
just unbelievable looking things that again have no soul.
Right.
They are simply beautiful landscape. Boof, Harry Potter with a lightsaber. Boom, you got it. No reason to it. There was no idea, no inspiration. It doesn't have any of those little flaws that you can find in regular drawings
Mm-hmm.
that tell the artist's style. It is a generic style.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you it literally is, if you go to one of these websites and mash it all together, and it is that it
Yeah.
but for me, who is not an artist, I love it. I think it's great, because
Right.
that for writing, I cared about not having a soul. I was like, okay, that bothers me. With the writing, it bothers me that there's not this little me in it,
Right.
and it's one of these things. It's like, I know, if I was as these tools improve, I mean, they're still sort of but I mean, in a year they're going to get better. I know that if I just followed what they wanted, it would be more popular, because it would be more universal.
I, I can't entirely get on board with that. I think that readers can tell that it doesn't have the soul. It doesn't have the spark. I think
Mhm.
and I think that there are times when a reader doesn't care.
Right.
Um, but I think that there are more times when they will. I was sort of thinking about this in a more general sense, because I just finished the second book in um, an ongoing series by Dennis E. Taylor. I think he's the one who did the Bob verse, but I can never I get him and
Oh
someone
yeah,
else
him.
confused. And I enjoy his story. I enjoy what's going on. But as I was reading this, it just really sunk in that he's not a good writer, and I can't put like my finger to it or anything like that. But so but I just really had this sense, and then I went on to go to the latest fantasy story by who is it? Martha Wells, who does the Murderbot Diaries,
Oh yeah.
and that's that's a writer. I can't begin to explain
Oh,
why
yeah.
she is better than him. Like there's nothing I can put my finger on or describe or something. It's just it has more of a spark to me,
Yeah.
you
No,
know?
no offense to Dennis E. Taylor. No offense. But his stuff could be written by an AI.
Possibly.
I mean, the only reason I'm not accusing of this is he did it before it was really this technology was there.
Right.
But it that and I mean,
And I
so this is
really liked his story. I really like the
oh
Bobiverse. I
I love his stuff.
enjoy what I'm reading in this new stuff. You know, that's not the point. But there is a thing missing, and I think audiences knows. I mean, that's sort of like the complaint you get about all of these like studio produced big budget movies,
Right,
right? Again, I love the MCU.
right.
It's going to take a lot for me to stop loving the MCU, but you know, even I get like they're working on it.
They're trying.
They're trying, you know,
They're doing their best, Rob.
right? But compare that with like what I'm seeing out of the Star Wars stuff or some of these other big franchise or the DC stuff, which is just so from the mountaintop or whatever. The MCU, at least, I feel like there are creators there, and I haven't felt
Right.
that for the bulk of the DCU. I think that the audience, can obviously tell, and sometimes we're going to be okay with that,
Yeah.
right? But a lot of times we're not.
I so here's a perfect example. Highlander, right?
Mm-hmm.
The original Highlander, under any objective measure, is a mess. I mean, just all the decisions made in that should not have worked. We're going to get a blind Frenchman to play a Scottish Highlander and have him swing swords around. When did that sound like a good idea to anyone? Can he we'll get a blind Frenchman. Can he speak well? No, he can't speak well. Well, is he particularly handsome? He's all right. but but man, does that movie have personality?
Yeah.
I mean,
Personality
that
and
movie,
spirit and joy.
yeah. And the reason, I mean, first of all, it was a complete story. There is no way you can go off of Highlander. But even if we ignore the fact that it's a complete story, the reason why every other Highlander since then has been an epic failure is because it was just okay. How do we repeat this formula to do it again? And it's like, no, you don't understand. The formula didn't work. That formula was insane. That was that was a bunch of bad ingredients thrown together and somehow turned out okay. Do not copy the formula. That's but yeah, it it's weird because so I have a friend who knits, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she is way into knitting, and she enjoys it.
Right.
Um, and but her knitting is never going to compete with the textile industry.
Right.
You know, and she'll make arguments. You know, it's like, hey, hand knitted stuff, and people care, it's better quality, and oh, by the way, you know, textiles are made under horrible conditions, and it's like, yeah, okay, you have a point. Are you going to pay $50 for socks? No. And I feel like no, I, I don't. You know, I feel bad for the way my clothes are produced, but I'm not going to pay $50
Yeah.
for ethically sourced clothes. And it's like, I'm sorry, and but horrible things happen to people all over the world all the time.
Right.
I can't stop that. And it feels like we're going to move into that sort of we're transitioning into that. There's going to be this corporate stuff. We already see it. We already see like the big corporations. It's like they're competing to see how bland they can make their stories. It's like, and I feel like that's the perfect place for this AI stuff.
Sure.
You know,
Sure.
um,
I mean, we're doing this. There's currently a writers'
right.
strike, and I'm sure that there are some executives somewhere who are seriously looking at some of these
Well,
programs. I'm wondering if we need the writer.
the writers' strike. One of the demands is you cannot use AI to write programs.
Mm-hmm.
And I swear to God, I looked at some of the programs. I'm like, you mean you weren't? I'm sorry. So you're saying a human being went over this script, an actual live human being, not some program, and thought all of this was right? Okay, because I feel like this is written by someone who doesn't understand people that
Mm-hmm.
well. But um, yeah, I mean, it's it's I still feel like there's a place for these tools
Mm-hmm.
in the independent writer. I still don't know what it is.
Right.
There's like Grammarly, but
Right.
I don't like that program. That program corrects things that I want to leave incorrect. And I feel like I'm arguing with it more than it's helping me. It's like, no, this is right. No, this is no, no, no. I know that sounds weird, but that is how people talk,
Right.
and this is dialogue.
Right.
Um,
And I absolutely feel like there is a place for these tools. Like for instance, um, I'm pretty sure that for me to produce anything, I would need a writing partner. I don't know if you remember this. I'm a really poor collaborator, right? uh, I like sometimes when I think about some of the stuff we worked on together, I'm like, oh, I just really need to blanket apologize for Eric because I was horrible and because I don't want to. I want
yeah,
an assistant who can help me do what it is I want. I don't like want to compromise on what I want to do.
yeah.
And but I also can't just do it myself. And so I kind of wonder if some of these tools would help my creativity in being that sort of assistant, but like I don't imagine it like writing all the words for me, just helping me navigate how to come up with the beginning, middle, and end again, or filling in those gaps that I'm struggling with.
Yeah, I don't know because like I tried pseudo-write because one of the things I've been having problems with is outlining a story. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm like, oh, um, maybe this would help. I didn't like it. I didn't.
Mm.
Again, it was a good outline, but it wasn't my outline. And I read through it, and I'm like, okay, that's a really good outline for someone else to write. But I'm not excited about this. And
Sure.
I maybe you could. I don't know. I don't know what step of the process you can replace. And I mean,
Right.
this is like I showed you that commercial with the car commercial.
Yeah.
Um, you didn't like that?
I didn't like that at all.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, this is an actual car commercial. That's
Like
um
everything that I've seen that says it's an AI generated script, I have the sense that either what I watch is just senseless
yes.
or it has been heavily edited
Well,
by
okay. So
someone
the
else.
the AI car commercial, I feel like the script was heavily edited,
Mm-hmm.
but the images were AI generated. And that was the part that I found interesting because, but I mean, so that's the thing. I mean, like, I can see a place for these tools in visuals. I really can
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know. And again, I can. So for me, writing, every part of the process is painful and unpleasant, and every part of the process is fun at the
Okay.
same time. it's like, oh, this is agony, and then I get through it, and I'm like, oh, that was so much fun, and I don't know. There's some endorphin release. It's like giving birth. There's something in your brain that makes you forget how unpleasant it was up until that point, until you finally crack through. I don't
This
I don't
does
know.
make me want to
Um,
link right here to our Watch Us Play videos of Eldritch Horror, which you have
yeah,
just
yeah, no,
described the
right.
experience of.
Yeah, no, it's Eldritch Horror. Writing is Eldritch. It is Eldritch Horror. It is. Oh, this is agony. Oh, that was so much fun. I completely forgot how much I suffered doing that. I mean, I would never want an AI to play the game for me. You know,
Right.
even though I would never want AI assistance in playing Eldritch Horror.
Yeah.
Like, we are bad at these games. We're not good. This is not the channel you go to see good games. Uh, but I would never want help. I would never want help. I want to make the horrible decisions and lose.
Right.
Because that's the fun of it. And I feel the same way with writing. I was like, I want to write the bad stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I want to write stuff that's no good and everyone hates. Because at least it's mine instead of having an AI write something decent. Um, at the same time, yeah, I mean, so it becomes a job if you're having an AI write it. It
Yeah.
suddenly becomes a job. And so I can see an AI written script making tons of money. I can see that happening when it
Mm.
improves a little bit. I mean, because you put in a sci-fi series, social issue, type in social issue. You know, shoelaces untie too much. Type it in. Type in select characters, and it's like archeo dashing archaeologist, skeptic who doesn't believe in aliens, and someone who's secretly an alien. That and you throw that in, and the machine will write a story about how anklets are connected to Egyptian aliens, and you'll have a whole story about it, about the secret conspiracy of untying shoes. And it will be or it will be universal and interesting. There will be inspiration because the person who selected those topics did put it in. It said, okay, this is something I want to. This is something that's interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be a little bit of refinement, but you'll have a script in an hour. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and then you send it over to the animation department that's also using AI tools, and they crank out an episode in a day, and you're done. And it's a perfectly acceptable episode. It's not going to be the Emmy-winning episode, but it will be a good filler episode for the show. And then occasionally you get a writer in to do the Emmy-winning episode. We're going to get this artisan writer. He's going to write a whole show, and it will feel different. But I mean, like, we grew up on Star Trek: The Next Generation,
Right.
right? Most of that was filler. There were a lot of episodes where it was just issue of the week, character, techno babble, moral speech, end of episode. Very formulaic, very filler, and we loved it. Because it was, we get to see our characters, we get to visit our friends, and occasionally they did something revolutionary. But they needed content, and they filled it.
I I I guess, and I think this goes to some of our different worldviews or something, because um, I I I I see what you're saying. You could very well be right. I guess I'm just more inclined to think that, like with so many other technological developments, none of it has actually reduced our work week. you know, we do go on instead and either do something bigger that we couldn't do before, or
Right.
someone less skilled is now able to do
Yeah.
the bar on what unskilled person or less skilled person can do.
Well,
So I will be surprised if we end up turning these tools into I'm gonna write a script into an hour versus I'm still gonna labor over this but with new tools.
yeah, so here's my so a couple. You're right and you're wrong.
Okay.
Uh,
Because
you're
that's what I
right.
said to you, so that's fair.
Yeah, but mine actually is true.
So tell me, Eric, in what ways am I right and in what ways are you wrong?
Nice. Touche, sir. Touche. um, no, I mean, so I'm gonna like we saw the Collider video, right?
Yeah.
Where they made an anime using AI tools.
Mm-hmm.
And I've played around with these same AI tools. What they did was witchcraft. It was way beyond what the tools can do. And that's because these are special effects experts.
Right.
And they had experience, they had knowledge, they had insight, they had the ability to really see to do this a lot better. And they also had tools that I don't have access
Right.
to. And for them, they were able to do something that they normally wouldn't be able to do, make this thing that looks like an anime, where they have no artist on staff,
Right.
but they were able to do that, and they were able to make it look semi decent. I mean, there were still
And they were able to
glitches.
do it in like a week or two as opposed to
Yeah,
a month.
yeah, and so for them, for it took their high skill and made it higher. So they raised the bar.
I think they made it quicker
Yeah,
more than
quicker.
higher.
Well,
But go on, go on. Sorry.
yeah. Well, I mean, it was a pretty good. It looked pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I were just looking on the internet for something to watch, and I saw that, I would not be against it. I mean, the story was idiotic, but that's not their forte. And they've done a couple of other things, and I'm like, man, you can really tell that these are special effects guys writing it. It's like, but the tools will be used to raise the bar, to do more things quicker. We'll have more special effects in movies now because you can augment the AI experts with AI,
Right.
the special effects experts with AI, and everyone's been saying like the Marvel movies, they kind of maxed out their special effects. The special effects people are just maxed out, and it's looking worse. Like everyone can tell that Marvel Phase 4 looks worse than the first Iron Man. And you're like, and what's
Mm,
happening? Well, it's like they have 6 or 7 movies now to animate, and Iron Man was just one.
right.
And so what we'll do is we'll get back to Iron Man. You'll be able to go back to a higher level of special effects. That's the one thing it's going to do. It's definitely going to raise the bar, and it's also going to allow people to do things that they couldn't do before,
Mm-hmm.
and and different people, because the technology really is favoring directors, people who like to have a lot of pieces that they put together into making something.
Right.
This is what the technology is for. It's for a director mindset. It's someone who's saying, I have a vision and I have all of these pieces that I'm going to put together to make a vision.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm going to it's going to help those people. At the same time, it's not going to be useful to a lot of other people, and
Right.
they're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way. And I think there's a place for that, but it's a smaller place. It's it's unreasonable to expect to make a living wage knitting socks. No matter how much you love it and how good you are at it,
Yeah.
it's unreasonable to expect that to be a job that you get paid for.
Right.
And there are things that are jobs that people get paid for, and it could be a lot of writing jobs that it's unreasonable if you're just an artist writer you're not going to get to make a living wage at that anymore. And
Yeah.
you can
And I
love,
mean, I think that there's a degree to which that has, like, to one scale, always been the case, right? There's a lot more aspiring writers than there are
right,
published ones.
right. Because let's face it, writing is the easiest creative thing to get into. You need a typewriter. That's it. And writing is also the easiest one to delude yourself about.
Yeah.
And say, I'm pretty good. I tell myself I'm pretty good. That may not be true at all, but I can tell myself. And I had an AI generate something that was objectively good. And I said, it's good, but it's not me, and I couldn't point to anything where it did something worse. That was
Right.
the thing that kind of killed me. I looked at it and I said, okay, so how is this worse than my writing? And I looked at it and I said, it's not. There is no point where I can point at this because I was writing along with it. So
Right.
obviously my writing's the baseline and it's adding to it. So there's nothing I can point to that where it's worse, but it just wasn't fun.
Well, is it adding to it, or is it like, so that's an interesting thought to me, because I'm wondering, while it is adding, is it subtracting your voice?
Yes. But my voice is it is adding clear, window pane writing statements.
Yeah.
That here is what is happening. This character moves here. Okay, this event happens. Oh, I'm going to introduce this twist. So and so. It is adding basic writing elements that are clear for everyone to understand. It's not writing anything bad. It's not writing it was a dark and stormy night. It is writing unique descriptive paragraphs of events.
Mm-hmm.
It sucks at dialogue because unless you're writing two news speakers talking to each other. Hello, Ted. Well, good morning, Mary. How was the coffee today? I quite enjoyed the coffee. Well, good day to you. It's great at that. But it does. I could not point to anything where it was doing it wrong. I really couldn't. I went through and I'm reading this. I'm like, this is decent. But I thought mine was better because it was me, but
Mm-hmm.
not because of any writing thing. I couldn't point to, oh, this is purple prose.
Right.
Oh, this is cliche. My writing is purple prose. My writing's cliche, but it's my purple prose and it's my cliches and it's my spelling errors and grammatically incorrect sentences.
Yeah.
And I like that better.
I mean, I think it just comes down to, is the AI writing is boring.
Boring to me.
Yeah.
I don't know to other people. But
I would bet to a lot of people.
Yeah. I don't know. I maybe I think so. Like, I'm gonna bring up a controversy, and you're welcome to cut me off here.
I love where this is going.
Rian Johnson's Star Wars episode. Okay.
Okay.
Many people loathe it. Right.
Which one did he do?
The Last Jedi.
Okay.
This was many people are really upset about it. Many people love it, and that's because Rian Johnson is about the most opposite of an AI writing program that you can ever get. He looked at Star Wars, he looked at the formula, and he said, "I hate this formula. I'm going to burn it to the ground." Everything. Everything about this. He took the theme, like he was emulating the Empire Strikes Back.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the Empire Strikes Back, everything's kind of crap. you know. And he's like, okay, that's a theme: loss, mistakes, that sort of thing. I'm going to work that theme in there, but everything else in the formula's got to go. And you know, the big bad, I'm going to kill him right in the middle. And you know, setting up the next movie, nope, I am not setting up the next movie. I'm giving you nothing to work with after this movie. You know, and but that, hate it or love it, that movie had a voice,
Yeah.
and had a style, and
Yeah.
and was quite unique. um you know, so it's one of those things. It's like Rian Johnson is the anti-AI. He's the guy who writes something that not everyone loves, but it is Rian Johnson. um The Force Awakens, that could be AI written. That was you know, Star Wars, the first movie, and take some of the second movie. Yeah, just do it again.
Well, I mean, whether or not that's controversial sums up my personal feelings about J.J. Abrams. So,
Yeah, yeah, no, J.J. Abrams is an AI. He totally was. He is totally an artificial intelligence. It's a point where I'm coming to, is that I can't. These tools are really interesting, but I can't use them
mm-hmm.
because they're not giving me what I want, which is just the fun of creating something.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's weird that I was advocating for these tools, and then I use it and I'm like, nope. This
I
isn't.
I don't know how weird that is. So one of the things that I enjoy watching about you, my friend, is that joy of creativity. You know, I um the the pleasure you took in making stuff and working on those web comics, on all that stuff, I was always just moved by it. So that's
Yeah.
not a big surprise to me.
Yeah, it is. There is always a urge to take the shortcut.
Yep.
There is always the urge in creative endeavors. How do I get to the end of this?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
this
Because
is not
creativity
what.
is horrible.
It's horrible. It's awful. No one in their right mind should do it.
No. No.
Just put it into an AI. It's so
Right.
much simpler.
Oh my god, do I have to edit this video? What the hell?
But it it is it is cliche, but it's the journey
Yep.
sometimes. You know, and I have been through a a journey with this, because it was like, I see this AI stuff. So I would I started writing late because of my dyslexia. So, you know, and it was like every time I took a step into the creative direction, I'm like, oh, this is fun, but I'm so far behind.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm so far behind everyone else. I'm so far behind. And I look at these authors. I look at Brandon Sanderson, who writes a book every time he sneezes. You know, he just sneezes and a chapter of a book comes out his nose. It's not natural, that man. um, you look at that and you're like, well, that's the market. Is that's how you make it, is just write
Oh,
tremendous
sure.
amount. But I can't do that.
Right.
You know, and so it was like, the AI stuff came out, and I'm like, hey, this would be a way to speed up my writing. This would be a way for me to get to that point. And so I was excited. I was like, okay, this is my chance. This is my opportunity. If I master this before everyone else, I can use this to do that. Um, and then I realized I don't enjoy that.
Right.
I have no fun doing that. I can't do this, because while I could master it, and while I could pump out 20 dinosaur detective books a week, you know, just pick a random two words, and I could crank out a book a week about it, and I could put it on Amazon, and I could make a career out of that. Particularly if I included porn in it. That would definitely. There is a market.
There is a market.
The erotic adventures of the dinosaur detective. You know that is a market. There is money to be
I'm
made.
sure Chuck Tingle is already there.
Probably so. But I could do that, but then it wouldn't be fun. It'd be a
Right.
job.
Yep.
And I have a job. I have a job that pays all right, and so then I'm like, well, I can't do this. I am going to be left in the dust by people who are using these tools. And I got depressed for a while, and I was like, I'm not going to do this anymore because I'm not going to be heard. I'm gonna write this stuff, and Clark's World shut down because it got so many AI submissions, and they're like, oh well, we figured out how to stop it. And it's like, no, you didn't. Absolutely not. You are not a wizard. You cannot find all the AI submissions. You can find the bad ones, but it's like, I for like a month, I just stopped writing. I was like, I'm not interested in this anymore. I can't accomplish anything. I can't be heard.
Right.
What's the point to it? And it was just luck that I submitted something to a online place like a year ago, and they said, hey, we had an error in our system and we just found your story and we'd like to publish it.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it was like it came like just at the right time, just when like I give up.
Right.
I give up, and then it's like, yeah, turns out our system was broken, and we were a little confused why we weren't getting any submissions, and then we realized we had 10,000 that we weren't seeing. And we looked through those 10,000, and we kind of liked one of yours.
Nice.
I mean, this wasn't a big market. It's a small one.
Right.
But
someone's going to hear you.
The guy narrated it, and it was really nice. And it was a story I wrote a long time ago, because it was a year, and it was a year before that I wrote the story.
Right.
It was like, wow, that felt good.
That's
one
awesome.
person in the world read my story and enjoyed it. I mean, I don't know who else heard this story. I'm assuming some, but it really felt good. And it's like, okay, that's what I got to do. I don't worry about the money. I'm never going to make money off of this. I'm going to be a knitter. I'm going to write stories because I enjoy it. I will send it in to places where I can find, and a few people have it, and I will gripe about how handwritten stories are superior, and and I will say, it's not really ethical the way the AIs were built, and that sort of thing, and I will make those complaints, but I will be the knitter, and that's where I'll go with it.
I think that is a fantastic ending and a fantastic moral on a channel with 48, 44, 80. Where are we at? Like,
I don't know.
83, I think, is the last I saw. 83 subscribers, that produces these 2-hour-long game videos that someone, like one or two people, for some unimaginable reason, watch to the end.
So, there are some horrible human beings out there that like to see people playing games really badly and suffering while doing it.
Yes.
And those sadists have a place, and I hate to say this to the sadists, but it brings us joy.
Well, every sadist needs their masochist.
Right. It makes us really happy that you're watching us suffer.
Right.
So figure that one out. Right. Well, thanks for talking to me, Rob. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. My pleasure. And I think yeah, this is a really interesting counterpoint to the last conversation we had like
Yeah,
this. It's very
yeah.
fascinating, and I wonder where you're going to end up in another 6 months or something.
No idea.
That's the point.
Yeah,
You never
I, I
know.
I never know. Well, I'm still playing around with the tools.
Yeah,
They're still fascinating to me.
yeah,
Um, and it still feels like magic. That's what makes it so fun. It feels like magic. But
yeah.
yeah, no, you got to do it by hand. There's no joy otherwise.
There you go. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Stick around, and maybe we'll actually put some more game videos on when my spirit has been reignited to find the joy in this process. Have a good night, everyone.